welcome to Have I Got News For You? I'm Jo Brand. In the news this week, as footage emerges from the recent royal tour, it appears Nicholas Witchell picked the wrong moment to bend over and tie his shoelaces. In his last year in office, there are suspicions that Barack Obama is frittering away Secret Service resources as extra protection is laid on for Tiddles, the White House cat. And after a long day's recording, there's a sense of déjà vu for the producers of Top Gear as they failed to provide Chris Evans with a steak.
No wonder he's angry, he's got pixelated organs.
On Ian's team tonight is an actress and comedian whose Twitter biography refers to her as a northern powerhouse, presumably because George Osborne has no idea where she is and has never given her any money. Please welcome Diane Morgan. And with Paul tonight is a business consultant and host of Countdown who once described me as his celebrity crush. Only if I sat on you, mate. Please welcome Nick Hewer. And we start with the biggest stories of the week. Paul and Nick, take a look at this.
Yes, the collapse of British Home Stores, a very famous name on the high street. That's the funeral collection there. Baboon, he's the new chairman, he's coming in. That's Sir Philip Green, and money rushing in. So, yes, there's a bit of controversy about BHS and Sir Philip Green.
It's a hell of a story. It's a bonfire of the vanities, an extraordinary, terrible story. He's not a spiv.
He's not a spiv.
He's not a spiv. I know he's not a spiv. My lawyer said he's not a spiv. And you'll remember, he's had his run-ins in the city before.
I don't know why you're planting this on me.
Because
if you want to suggest Sir Philip Green... if you want to suggest there's something fishy about his whole financial thing, well, you say it, not me. I'm not going to say it.
Your boys on Private Eye will be all over it like a cheap suit, although perhaps not one from BHS.
Let's just do figures quickly, shall we?
Yeah.
So he bought it for 200 million. Fair play to him. It made a profit of around 500 million in less than a decade. But he also took out around 580 million in dividends and various deals for himself and his family.
Which is quite a lot to give yourself in a tax haven. Again, I'm not saying that's odd.
I've shoplifted in BHS, but it was never...
The flip side of taking all this money out is that the reason it's gone bankrupt is there's a £570 million pension fund, and someone's got to pay the pensions to these employees. Now, you'd think that might be someone who'd taken 400 million out himself. But no, it's another body called the Pension Protection Fund, which is backed by, the taxpayer. Oh, you're happy now, aren't you?
I just think BHS shutting down is a bit like when someone tells you that someone's died, but you thought they'd died earlier anyway. Woolworths, when that went bust, you know, people were genuinely sad because they didn't know where to get the pick and mix.
No, that was a big issue for me.
In all seriousness, my concern is that this little episode damages the whole idea of entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurs are meant to create money, spread it around. This is all apparently rocketing to the south of France.
Are you suggesting this is more like asset stripping?
No.
I wouldn't use that phrase. And what about the stuff in it? Is that good?
I don't go to BHS.
One thing that's weird about Philip Green, what I find it weird, is that celebrities find him irresistible, don't they?
How much did he spend on his birthday party? Something like £5 million. And everyone was there, but they were there because they'd been paid. Which the rest of us would consider, yes, tragic.
I got away with 200 quid for mine. Well, let's have a look at him with some beautiful people.
Yeah,
Here's a beautiful
celebs.
person. Liz Hurley, of course, is another beautiful person. Yeah, Rita Ora, and another beautiful person. Yeah, and listen, here's Philip Green with another beauty. Oh, but you are a long way away.
Where did you find that?
It's in my personal collection.
It's a specialist website.
Does anyone know what the boss of M&S said about him after his failed takeover of M&S in 2004?
They came to blows almost in outside the Dorchester, you know, during that.
How posh of them. Not outside Kentucky Fried Chicken, though. He said, "This is a victory for polite, calm and diplomatic people against irrational, erratic, rude, crude, volatile and offensive people."
Right.
And what's going to happen next?
Does the parliamentary committee have the power to coerce him to come and sit before them and answer the questions? And apparently the answer is yes, because they're also talking about bringing Lady Christina. After all, she owns it.
Yes. Now, Frank Field seems to think that he will be summoned to the Commons Work and Pensions Committee. Let's have a look at him telling us about that.
It's inconceivable that we wouldn't actually invite Sir Philip Green to come. He's called us a load of effing arseholes.
I mean, that's the height of arrogance, isn't it? Really?
This is the demise of BHS and Sir Philip Green's battle to hold on to his title. Philip Green likes to surround himself with celebrities like Kate Moss, although it's less well known that Sir Philip has done a bit of modelling himself. And here's what he was modelling for. In 2010, David Cameron personally appointed Sir Philip Green as the government efficiency czar. 2010, the same year, David Cameron personally appointed George Michael the driving safety czar and Nick Clegg the deputy prime minister. Commenting on Sir Philip Green's handling of the BHS pension fund, Alistair Campbell said it had a whiff of the Robert Maxwells. Well, Sir Philip, you've got a yacht, you know what to do. OK, Ian and Diane, take a look at this.
The presidential visit. That's the propaganda. Good grief, that's a selfie. And that's flaky. We had a visit by an American president, which was incredibly exciting. It was! He played golf, which is important on a state visit, and he ate 2 enormous meals with the royal family.
And he advised us to stay in the EU.
No, it was a threat. He said, unless you stay in the EU, you'll go to the back of the queue, which is a mistake with British people, because we think, great, queue. I'll go back again and queue up. This is good.
Are these EU-US trade deals as exciting as they sound?
I'm gripped. I can barely sleep at night going over the details.
One being negotiated at the moment, isn't there, called the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership? Or...
Yeah, which Obama said, you know, if you don't stay in the EU, you don't get this brilliant deal, which is a terrible deal, which half of Europe is trying to throw out. It's basically a deal that allows corporate America to do what it likes. Having a go at Obama, it's very popular.
What did the Brexit camp make of his intervention in support of staying in the EU? Were they pleased?
No, they were jolly cross.
They were jolly cross.
Because all they've got is Marine Le Pen.
What did Jeremy Corbyn discuss with Obama during the 30 sparse minutes that he got to spend with him? Do you know?
I think it was global capitalism and the effect on the labour market.
Well, it's not far off, because the subject of their half-hour discussion was post-industrial societies and the power of global corporations and the increasing use of technology around the world.
Well, and Cameron had a round of golf.
Well, I think by the time Corbyn had actually said that, his time was up, so... yes, the round of golf, that was next on his agenda. This took place just outside Watford. The President's retinue blended into its surroundings. Here's the usual convoy of Secret Service personnel. There they are. And here they are in golf course mode. Now, David Cameron and President Obama exchanged gifts. This is what Obama gave Cameron.
A custom-made Shinola men's watch, engraved with the presidential seal. A bison leather duffel bag monogrammed with the Prime Minister's initials. 3 cans of US Open tennis balls. And a pair of sports towels, personalised with the UK-US friendship flags, whatever they are.
Sports towels? It's an unsubtle message, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's get exercising, fatty.
Yeah.
This is what David Cameron gave him.
A volume of the complete works of Shakespeare. Oh, that's it.
The only thing I was interested in was, you know, Boris mentioned this bust of Churchill.
Oh, that's
that
right,
Obama
yes.
had, that apparently he claimed he'd had removed from his office.
Yeah.
But I'd be interested in having that if he's knocking about. Because I've got a Martin Luther King snow globe I could swap.
Do you know how Churchill's grandson, Nicholas Soames, reacted? Do you know what he said?
Yeah, he
Exploded.
was angry.
He thought Boris was out of order to take issue with its removal, saying, he's really bogged it.
Bogged it.
Bogged it. Has anyone here ever bogged it? Well, let's take a little detour. How did Ken Livingstone bog it this week? If I'm using it in the right context.
He came out in defence of someone that the party have now suspended.
Naz Shah, who's an MP, yeah?
Naz Shah,
Yeah.
who made some rather unfortunate anti-Semitic posts. But as she said, it was way back in 2014. Which is, you know, a
That's
world away.
almost like
It's like
another
1932,
century.
isn't it?
The suggestion was that he said, apparently, that in 1932, Hitler was saying that he actually was a Zionist. He thought it was a jolly good idea that he wanted to ship all the Jews in Germany to Israel.
But when you're making a speech saying that somebody else isn't an anti-Semite, it's best to keep the words Hitler and Jews away from each other, on the whole.
How did Ken Livingstone avoid journalists after news of his suspension broke?
He put on a pair of dungarees and went home.
No, he actually did bog it, because he took cover in a disabled toilet, which I'm assuming is the meaning of bogging it. I don't know. There he is, nipping into one. And he was in there for 20 minutes while journalists shouted questions about Hitler at him.
I watched him being chased up the stairs by Mr. Mann. and being given a thumping, and he kept smiling.
But it is something when you've got two Labour figures just screaming at each other. That footage is brilliant.
Disgusting racist. Rewriting history, you're a disgusting racist.
You say it's not true?
Yes, you're a lying racist.
Really? Why didn't you go
A Nazi apologist. A Nazi apologist. A Nazi apologist. You're a disgusting Nazi apologist, Livingstone.
Wow. It's a happy party.
He's got terribly long legs, you know.
Who? Ken Livingstone?
Yeah, we met him once. I met him. I said to him, you've got disproportionately long legs. It's a true story. And he said, I know.
He probably thought this is the weirdest chat-up line I've ever had. Disproportionately long legs.
Look at him next time. Yeah. Very long legs.
I think that's true, actually. I met him. He does have long legs. Yeah.
Was that it?
Was that what?
All you thought?
No, he gave me a mince pie.
Well, if we can just go back to the subject of Brexit for a bit. Nick, how well do you think the two campaigns are doing? You're a bit of a PR
I think
expert,
that they say it's a very close thing, but I think there's always room for an event, isn't there? Quite near the end, quite near polling day, something might suddenly jump out of the salad and surprise us all.
Do you mean an event as in something happening?
Do you remember Macmillan? Events, dear boy, events.
Events,
something could
dear
happen.
boy.
Yeah, but he didn't have the salad metaphor, which is brilliant. I'm thinking an enormous cockroach.
I'm thinking about Billy Connolly. Do you know that story? Oh, he used to go to parties and put his penis on a plate and put salad over it and then walk round and people would... and he would pick a bit off and...
Who told you this?
Maybe I dreamt that. I read it somewhere.
Where did you read this? Made-up stories for incredulous people?
I think I read it in The Lady. I might be
they've got
wrong.
the finger on the pulse, haven't you?
Anyway, if I'm in prison next week, it's because he's put me there. Michael Gove said that if we didn't have to give £350 million a week to the EU, we'd have more money to spend on the NHS. What current problem could that solve?
The other side just said, well, then we wouldn't have all these immigrants coming in, filling all the jobs at the NHS.
No, this is about the junior doctors who've been on strike again. Over their new contractors, Health Secretary Jeremy Hunt says he wants to see a 7-day NHS. One striking doctor held up a placard which said, I already work weekends, Jeremy, that's why I'm single. As an extra precaution, if anyone had to suddenly go into hospital, what could they take with them if they wanted to?
A relative.
Well, they could, but they could also take a free zone card. Have a look at this. This is a Hunt free zone, and it says, in the event of an accident, the holder of this card wishes to be known that he or she does not wish to be visited in hospital. By Jeremy Hunt. This is Barack Obama's visit to the UK. David Cameron and Barack Obama enjoyed a round of golf together, though even the presidential golf buggy had to be followed by a motorcade of Secret Service men. Still, they were on a golf course. That's an awful lot of grassy knolls. This week saw the latest round of strikes by junior doctors, with doctors on the picket line shouting, scab, scab, scab. Meanwhile, Ken Livingstone has been suspended from the Labour Party for attempting to defend Naz Shah's anti-Semitic comments. Livingstone said, let's remember that in 1932, Hitler's policy was that the Jews should be moved to Israel. This was before he went mad. I'm not sure whether that was Hitler or Ken. Teams now, here's another one.
Oh, yes, well, this is the extraordinary story of Hillsborough. There's Helen Mackenzie, editor of The Sun. Basically, people were demonised. Football fans in the 1980s were seen as hooligans who were drunk the whole time. There'd been lots of pitch invasions, so therefore you had these fences put up. Ken Bates, the Chelsea chairman, wanted to put up electrified fences, I remember. So this was how people sort of viewed football fans. I mean, the truth of the matter is that amongst these 96 people were working-class people, middle-class people, people from Liverpool, people outside of Liverpool.
And it took 27 years to come out, which sort of makes Chilcot look fast.
Yeah. This is the news that the Hillsborough families had succeeded in their 27-year campaign, was celebrated on the front pages of the national press. The Guardian, The Mirror, The Star, The Eye, The Telegraph and The Sun. Absolutely no sign of Hillsborough there at all.
The fact that the Murdoch papers didn't run it because of their embarrassment about having run headlines that said the truth, and then they got it all wrong, and they just fed exactly what the police said to them. And then they stuck to that line for years. I mean, there was extraordinary collaboration to make sure there was one story put out.
After the tragedy, 164 police statements submitted to the Justice Taylor report were altered, and most of the alterations were to remove criticism of the police operation and senior officers' lack of leadership. If you want to learn more about the findings of the Hillsborough inquest, you can read in-depth analysis on the BBC website, and if you want to know less, then read The Sun. And so, to round two, the one-armed bandit of news. Fingers on buzzers, teams.
This is the astronaut in space, Tim Peake, is it? And 26 miles, he ran round on a little sort of space thing there.
Do you mean a treadmill?
Treadmill,
No.
but actually, if he stands still, he does more than 26 miles. He's orbiting the Earth, so he's a fool for himself. He ran the marathon because the cameras were on him, and he ran, and everybody was very happy at the end.
That's nothing compared to you, is it? A marathon.
No.
You did how many?
135 miles.
Yeah, just like that. And
In
not
an
even in
hour.
space. In an hour. That's fantastic.
Oh, all right.
Were you parachuted out of the plane?
7 days. Yes.
You had sticks.
I had sticks.
What's the story with the sticks?
Oh, yeah, I know, but... they are quite helpful, but I didn't really use them very much because they make you look like a twat. So... No, they really do. You think, people think, is she skiing? There's no snow. What is she doing? It does look...
You might have been approaching a giant Chinese meal.
Actually, Tim Peake, he broke a world record for running a marathon in space.
Was he dressed up?
Tim Peake?
He seems like he's showing off, really. You know, he's already in space. Why run a marathon?
Yeah, you're right. How do you even run a marathon in zero gravity?
He was strapped down so he didn't float away.
Oh, right, OK.
Must leave the window open.
Peake was strapped to the treadmill, that's right. They strapped me to the treadmill, but that's because I kept trying to get away. Let's have a look at Tim on his machine. Here we go.
That is clever.
Got change, look at that. He's not that heavy, is he?
Is it just me, or is he upside down?
Back down here on Earth, who slightly undermined Tim's incredible achievement?
All those other people in the marathon.
Well, yeah, there was one man called Martin Hewlett who set the Guinness World Record for the fastest Earth marathon dressed as an astronaut. Running in a costume that can be dangerously dehydrating. Here he is before the race. That's him in the middle. And here he is after finishing. Although, I think in terms of suffering, I'm not sure anyone beats this guy. I know what you're thinking, but don't worry. A bloke dressed as Simon of Cyrene came and took it off him soon after that. Have I got my Bible facts right there, Ian?
Terrific.
Great to hear a Simon of Cyrene joke.
Yeah. There have been very few for about 2,000 years.
Simon of Cyrene walks into a pub and says, "Oh,
I'll take a pint off you."
At the Last Supper, they're all sitting around, and Jesus turns to the disciples. He says, "I'm afraid that one of you, by this time tomorrow morning, will have betrayed me." And Peter says, "Is it I, Jesus?" He says, "No, it is not you, Peter. You are one of the most faithful of all my apostles." And James said, "Is it I, Jesus? Is it I?" James says, "No, James, you are very faithful." And Judas says, "Is it I, Jesus?" And Jesus said, "Is it I, Jesus?" True story. Deuteronomy 26:34-85. Or whatever bus routes go near there.
There were quite a few other novelty marathon records set in London. Can you name any of them?
Yes, Mirror Man. Not Mirror Man?
No.
No. Cabbage Boy. Brought up by rogue cauliflower in the jungle.
No.
Well, the only two I
Was a
saw.
dinosaur, wasn't there? Was it?
There was a dinosaur, but actually record setters. There was the fastest marathon by someone dressed as an elf, fastest marathon by someone wearing chainmail, and fastest marathon dressed as a fast food item. The 6-foot hot dog crossed the line in 3 hours 57 minutes, closely followed by Dale. Congratulations, well done. Has anyone ever been... No one's been to space in here, have they? Has anyone? No, I don't think so. Sarah Brightman's pulled out, hasn't she?
Oh, yeah.
Of space.
Was this on the Richard Branson trip?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
She paid a
that's always a
fortune.
bit delayed, isn't it?
Well, it was 200 grand, I think it was, wasn't it?
Really?
She was going to sing up there as well, wasn't she?
I lost my heart to a Starship Trooper, was it? Thank you, there's Andrew Lloyd Webber. I once met Andrew Lloyd Webber at an airport, a city airport, and I went, "Good afternoon, Mr. Lloyd Webber," and he went, like that, as if he really hated me, which he probably does, actually, but there we go.
If you look very closely at Andrew Lloyd Webber, you see Princess Margaret.
Is she inside him?
She is.
Oh, that's grotesque.
No, he is Princess Margaret.
Is he?
Look, you
Oh, I am
study
having a
it
look
and,
now.
and tell me I'm wrong.
Well, let's have a look. There's a certain something. Right, why did this lady,
Yes?
Betty Barker, think Tim Peake was drunk last Christmas Eve?
She works in his local pub. He came in, he said, I'm going to space next year.
He called her from the space station
Yeah.
by mistake after getting the wrong number on his space phone when he was trying to call home.
Oh. She was lucky there was a photographer there to capture the moment.
Well, Betty Barker thought he was a drunken reveller looking for a good time. She's optimistic, old Betty Barker, isn't she? And she said, he just said, "Hello, is that planet Earth?" So I said no, which I suppose is technically incorrect. And she said, "I thought it was someone looking to go to a nightclub called Planet Earth." So I hung up.
It's quite picky.
It is a bit.
Extraterrestrials may have been trying to contact us for decades. But I speak to the wrong people.
Betty Barker
Betty
fucked it
Barker.
up. Anyway, finally, shall we see how Tim Peake is inspiring a nation of youngsters to reach for the stars?
Absolutely.
Here we go.
You look like an astronaut. You're going to be an astronaut.
No.
according to his CV, Tim Peake is not only an astronaut, he is a British Army major, a test pilot and a scuba diver. He also has realistic hair and gripping hands. Which means at the end of this round, Paul and Nick have 4 and Ian and Diane have 3. OK, time now for the odd one out round. Paul and Nick, your 4 are a spelling test for school children, Bernie Clifton's new album, The Sinner's Bible, and the village of Mela Thiru Venkata Nathapuram in India.
That's a...
Thank you.
Is that the place that's got a railway station where they say, we're here? So, spelling test. Was there something the other week about some kids have been given a spelling test that they've already seen, and the real test happened to be exactly the same? Was that the story? Was that...
Yes.
OK, so, The Sinner's Bible...
that was an early Bible where it had a misprint in it.
Ah, yes.
And instead of, in the Ten Commandments, instead of saying, thou shalt not kill, they'd left the not out. And I think it was it kill or adultery?
It was adultery.
It was adultery, that's why people got excited, because it said, thou shalt commit.
Did you say Bernie Clifton's got a new album out?
Yes, he has.
And what's interesting?
They printed the songs of a death metal band instead of his own titles.
There must be a spelling mistake in the name of that town, then. I think I got it.
The test for the children because it's been changed. That's the other one out.
That is the right answer.
In all the other 3 cases,
There have been...
a misprint,
yes,
a
that's
mistake,
right,
whereas
absolutely.
with this town, they got it completely right.
No, not with... I said that Paula got it right. I said that Paula got the answer right. So, yes, but between you, you've got it. So 1 point each, I think. They've all featured misprints, except the spelling test for UK 7-year-olds, which appeared online correctly before the exam took place. Do you know how the error was discovered?
Somebody spotted it.
Correct. A primary school teacher noticed that during Wednesday's test, one of the children appeared to know the spellings that were being read out. One would hope that at least one of them would.
Where do they get this knowledge from?
Who else had an embarrassing week with writing and all that?
Shakespeare.
Well, it could have been, but it wasn't. No, it was someone that...
Was it Nicky Morgan?
Yes, it was, Nicky Morgan. Do you know why?
She managed to spell something wrong on a letter.
That's right. She wrote a letter justifying education proposals and signed it off like this. Yours sincerely.
Sounds like a Mary Poppins track. Yours sincerely.
But why is that particularly embarrassing for Nicky Morgan? And not just because she's education
Because she's just said that all schools should be academies.
Well, no, it's because sincerely is on the government's own list of words that 10-year-olds should be able to spell. And we've already mentioned the mix-up at the launch of veteran entertainer Bernie Clifton's new album.
Can you explain why he's on an ostrich?
That was his act. Those aren't his legs.
No. No, don't give away. The magic is spilling out.
You're making me feel stupid now.
Bernie's album has been misprinted with a track listing, as you said, of the new album belonging to death metal band Abhorrent Decimation. Cheery Bernie Clifton said, my act has never been described as abhorrent decimation. Well, not to your face, mate. Bernie's trying to relaunch his career, but with one big difference. What is it?
He's not doing the ostrich anymore?
That's right, he's ditched it.
Really?
And he says this, the bird has only ever been 5% of what I do, but TV only ever wanted a bird. But you kept giving it to them, Bernie, you whore. Now, the village Mela Thiru Venkata Nathapuram, right? What idiot managed to misprint the name of Mela Thiru thing? It was actually a New York Times journalist who was writing an article about the place in India, where possible future Supreme Court Judge Sri Srinivasan comes from. And how did they make amends?
By printing it again, but again making a different mistake.
Well, they published this apology. An earlier version of this article misspelled in one instance the name of a village in India where the family of Sri Srinivasan once lived. The village is, all of simply and not simply. I've said it once, I really just don't think I can do it again. Now, 1,000 copies of the so-called Wicked Bible, or the Sinner's Bible, were published in 1631. And it was so called, of course, because it contained a misprint in the 7th of the Ten Commandments, so it read, thou shalt commit adultery. How long did it take the Puritans of the 17th century to pick up on this mistake?
6 months.
A year.
A year?
I know.
Oh, I was wrong by 50%.
And the commandments were quite near the front, apparently. So
That's been quite a year, though. Whole of Christendom at it.
Now, ISIS fighters were also the subject of an unfortunate typo by an American news channel. Did anyone see what NBC said they've been getting up to?
No.
A tweet stated that ISIS fighters are hiding in civilian homes and shaving their bears. Wait till they find out Goldilocks slept in 3 different beds, they'll stone her to death. Sorry. No, I'm not. The New York Times article talks about one resident of Mela Thiru Venkata Nathapuram who was famous for being able to chant for hours. Mind you, that was just when supporting the local football team. Give us an M. Ian and Diane, here are yours. Hermione Granger, Anne Hathaway, the moons of Uranus and Tottenham Hotspur.
I think this is a Shakespeare question.
Yes.
Because Hermione is named after Hermione, In The Winter's Tale. The moons of Uranus are all Shakespeare characters. Tottenham Hotspur, Harry Hotspur, in Henry IV-1.
Crikey, Ian.
Anyone would think I'd done a degree.
That was a hell of a football match, Henry 4-1. That was
And who's that?
Anne Hathaway.
That was Shakespeare's wife, but not a character, so she's the odd one out.
Correct.
When you go back to the 17th century, you can't touch it.
Now, many of Uranus's moons have been named after Shakespearean characters, as you said, such as Titania, Oberon, Ariel and Puck. But what did the discoverers of Pluto's moons do about naming them, which caused controversy?
Oh, was it Moony McMoonface?
That's the public.
No, they asked an actor, William Shatner.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. And he suggested Vulcan, which is quite good, isn't it? It has a remarkable 27 moons, but what else is distinctive about Uranus?
Well, it's been pronounced Uranus since 1978.
Only if you're an American, Paul.
No, British scientists were all signed up to
do
it.
they?
Yeah, stop us laughing at Uranus.
OK.
And the rings around it.
And whether it's working, is it?
Whether we'll be able to put a man on there.
It was the first planet to be discovered, right, by Sir William Herschel in 1781, because all the others have been known about and visible for thousands of years. Now, in an interview for American radio, J.K. Rowling said that she'd named Harry Potter's Hermione after a character in...
Winter's Tale?
Yes, very good. She said a lot of people in America pronounce it Hermy-1.
Lots of people in America. That sounds very scientific. Yeah. I used to think that Penelope was pronounced Penelope.
Me too.
The word discotheque has long disappeared, but a friend of mine thought it was discotheque. Mind you, another friend of mine thought that doing was pronounced doing.
Anyway, they are all named after Shakespeare's characters, apart from Anne Hathaway, who's named after his wife. In a live BBC sketch to mark the 400th anniversary of Shakespeare's death, Prince Charles played the part of Hamlet, Prince of Denmark, so he didn't even get to be king in that. Which means at the end of this round, Paul and Nick have 5, and Ian and Diane have 6.
Oh, yeah.
Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features, as its guest publication, Deposits magazine. The magazine of rocks, fossils and geology, which, when it comes to its own content, can't always make its mind up. Interesting borings. And we start with optimistic man fails to what?
Not Keith Chegwin's confidence.
Optimistic man fails to reach Bermuda. This is the story of Reza Balushi, who attempted to walk across the ocean from Florida to Bermuda in a large inflatable plastic bubble. After being rescued by the Coast Guard, Belushi popped the bubble and stepped out of it saying, I feel like I've really let myself down. Next, the dinosaurs what for no apparent reason?
I think it's the dinosaurs died out, but I heard they dined out for no apparent reason.
No, it is in fact the dinosaurs ran away from Europe for no apparent reason.
Brexit.
Exactly, the dinosaurs' departure.
Brexit. Thank you very much indeed.
Next, centipede bigger than a human...
Merkin.
What? Merkin.
Settlement. Foot. Head. Arm. Kidney. Centipede bigger than a human kidney. Foot. Head. Arm. Finger.
Centipede bigger than a human is Germany's fossil of the year.
Bigger than an actual human?
Yes.
Imagine that coming out of your salad, Nick.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much the Billy Connolly experience. Sorry. Finally, man with giant foot, what?
Jokes.
Is it? There's nothing missing. Man with giant foot.
No, there is. It's man with giant foot issued with parking ticket. A traffic warden in South London ticketed a giant foot that parked outside Balham Tube Station. Here's the traffic warden giving the foot a parking ticket. To be fair, the foot had just broken down and it was waiting for a tow truck. So, the final scores are Paul and Nick have 5, but Ian and Diane have 7. But before we go, there's just time for the caption competition.
Bet you a quid I can lose my hand.
Don't put your keys in me, I'm not a handbag yet.
On which note, we say thank you to our panellists, Ian Hislop and Diane Morgan, Paul Merton and Nick Hewer, and I leave you with news that, after drastic budget cuts, it looks like the next Star Wars movie could be a little disappointing. In Cambridge, a long-running feud in the council traffic department escalates to full-on civil war. And in Glasgow, there's terror as the police are called in to identify a mysterious and suspicious package. Good night.